Awesome. Yep, I'm ready.
Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. This program is hosted in partnership with Lehigh University Art Galleries and Shanthi Project. It is part of LUAG's Connect and Create series, which offers a brief exploration of works from our collection, as well as followed by hands-on or creative response. We are thrilled this evening to explore mindfulness through creative journaling, and are so lucky to have Dr. Baxter joining us, who is an associate professor of art and art education at Moravian College, as well as a teaching artist at Shanthi Project. She completed her degrees at New York University, Case Western Reserve University, in collaboration with Cleveland Museum of Art, and Teachers College, Columbia University. Dr. Baxter has worked as an art educator in museums, community art centers, and schools, teaching art and art history to children, families, and teachers. In higher education, she has worked as an adjunct professor of art education and art history at universities in New York, New Jersey, and Ohio. She is the author of numerous articles on using studio art practice as research and the educational value of incorporating family snapshots into art education. Her most recent book is Creating Vibrant Art Lesson Plans, a teacher's sketchbook, which is lovely and you should all pick it up. And it was published by Teachers College, Columbia University. She's also a professional artist and exhibits her work regionally. So I encourage you to check out her website. I personally have had the opportunity to work with Dr. Baxter for a couple of years now and continue to be inspired and motivated by her. So I know you will as well this evening. I just want to mention that we are recording this presentation. So it will be shared out through email as well as put on the LUAG website, where we have lots of recordings and resources of all kinds, including mindfulness and well-being, as it relates to our current exhibition, Well, 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 Picturing Wellness in the LUAG collection. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Baxter and look forward to creating with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Stacy. And I'm excited that there's so many people here on this call. Thank you for taking this hour out of your evening to join us and do this with us. I also just want to say thank you again to the Lehigh University Art Galleries and also to Shanthi Project. If you're not familiar with the work of Shanthi Project, they actually are a nonprofit based out of Allentown, and they place yoga teachers and mindfulness teachers in schools and community centers all over the Lehigh Valley. So definitely check out their website too for programming that they're doing. So I will see what we have here on my presentation. So before we get started, if you're just joining the call too, just know if you would like to participate in the little hands-on art making, there's a little list of supplies here if you want to gather as we move along tonight. So I just want to give you an overview of what we'll be doing this evening. So we will go till 8 o'clock, and I'll be really mindful of the time here. And basically how I've structured tonight's presentation is we'll start with a few simple mindfulness practices at the beginning, and we'll also end our time together with some mindfulness. We'll also make this little handmade book out of just one simple sheet of paper that I hope you find joyful. And then we'll also look at some works of art, like Stacy mentioned, from the Well, Well, Well exhibition at the Lehigh University Art Galleries. And the kind of the different thing that we'll be doing tonight, though, is really using mindfulness practices in viewing artwork. So it will be probably be different than other opportunities that you've had to look at artwork in museums. So it won't be like an art history focus. We'll be layering over mindfulness practices onto viewing artwork. So that's kind of the structure for tonight then. And kind of an overarching question that has kind of motivated my presentation tonight, and a question that maybe you might want to think about this evening also, is this one: how can mindfulness practices, when applied to viewing works of art, support our well-being in day-to-day life? So mindfulness and art making, what does this have to do with me having to, go to the supermarket, make doctor's appointments, go to work, take care of my kids, take care of my parents? So I really hope that tonight's presentation can be applied to your day-to-day life. So that's something hopefully we can kind of revisit. So again, if you're just kind of joining the call, I know some people kind of filter in, but again, here's the list of materials if you'd like to participate in the bookmaking project. Okay, so I just want to, sorry, so I can go back. Sorry, I'm on a new computer. So before we actually dive into the mindfulness practices, I just want to kind of introduce what mindfulness even means, and just introduce you to one of the main proponents of mindfulness, Jon Kabat-Zinn. He is actually a professor of medicine at the University of Massachusetts Medical School. And decades ago, he was really interested in combining Buddhist teachings and yoga practices, bringing those practices, Eastern practices, to the Western scientific community. And he was really interested in finding out how can yoga and these Eastern philosophies be studied and applied to in clinical settings to really help people who are experiencing depression, PTSD, chronic pain. So he's a scholar who really wanted to join the East and the Western practices together. And he is the one who developed this mindfulness-based stress reduction. If you are interested in mindfulness, maybe you have a mindfulness meditation practice on your own, you might have seen this acronym before, mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR. So he's really the founder of mindfulness as it appears now in the West. So I love his definition, and I have it here for you. I can also, I don't know, Stacy, if it's possible for you maybe even to put it in the chat, because it's just so beautiful to me. Maybe it is to everyone else, but and I feel like there's a lot there too. So I often read it multiple times, but he defines it as mindfulness is an awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally, in the service of self-understanding and wisdom. So maybe we'll take a moment if you want to read that again to yourself, because it's kind of beautiful. Some of the words that I think are really salient to me are words like It's an awareness that arises. So even tonight, as we're working together, rather than so often in our life at work or taking care of family, taking care of ourselves, there's a lot of like wrestling and struggle and problems and things we have to sort out. Of course, obviously, there's a lot of joy in all of that too. But mindfulness is an opportunity to just have an awareness arise, just to kind of let things present themselves rather than wrestling with everything, every phone call we make. So it's an awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally, in the service of self-understanding and wisdom. So this is sort of our ultimate goal of mindfulness meditation practices. Really to just give ourselves, our mind, some time and space to just allow things to be as they are. I often, I've read somewhere recently, and the writer was kind of giving the analogy, like when you are out in nature, how therapeutic that is. And part of it, the author argues, is that a tree doesn't want to be a daffodil. A stream, a beautiful stream, isn't criticizing, itself and wanting to be the ocean. My dog, who's here on the floor, doesn't want to be one of my cats. So there's this really wonderful sense of like just being really content with how things are when we're out in nature or with nature. Okay, so why don't we take a couple of minutes then and just dive into some mindfulness practices. Things I'll do tonight, you can certainly do at any point on your own too. They're simple enough. So just come to a comfortable seat. A lot of people say you should be sitting, with a straight spine on the floor, ideally. I say if you're in a recliner or in bed right now, more power to you. That's awesome. So just come find a comfortable position. If you need to kind of wiggle out a little bit, just kind of twist a little bit. If you've been sitting a lot today, and just maybe take a deep breath or two. And then when it feels okay for you, just come to stillness. And I actually want you to start with your eyes open. Oftentimes in mindful meditation, we start with the eyes closed. And of course, you can keep your eyes open, obviously, the entire time if that feels more comfortable. But start with your eyes open in this mindful meditation. And I just want you to look around in the space where you are right now, without judging, right? Without layering in stories on top of the things that you're seeing. You may even want to just kind of zone in on one thing that's nearby. Maybe it's the phone next to you or a bottle of water. And just kind of become aware of the space that you're in and these objects that are around you. Part of being mindful is bringing ourselves to the present moment, which means really bringing our awareness to the space that we're in. And then when you feel at a point where it feels okay to you, you can close your eyes or even just look down at your desk or at the floor, or just kind of gaze down softly. But if your eyes are closed, even, can you still see some light, even with your eyes closed? Or is it very dark with your eyes closed? Just notice the quality of that darkness. And just try to relax behind your eyes. Relax the skin around your eyes, even the space in between your eyebrows. Just see if you can just allow those areas to become heavy. And now bring your awareness to the sounds around you. So you might live near a busy street. So maybe you hear cars going by. Maybe there are other people in the house where you are right now, and they are talking or cooking. Maybe there's a TV on somewhere in your house. Just bring your awareness to the quality of the sounds around you. Maybe notice even the sound that appears and arises the furthest away. Which sound is the furthest away from you? And which sound is very close by? Maybe there's even a clock ticking in the room where you are. And then bring your awareness to your sense of smell. Maybe if there are people in your house cooking, maybe there's some smells of what they're cooking. Maybe somebody just took a shower, or maybe you took a shower, you can smell your shampoo. Even sometimes the air has a quality to it. As we inhale, the quality of the air that you inhale through your nose might seem cool compared to the quality of the air on that exhale. So just bringing your awareness to this sense of smell. Or just simply the quality of the air as it comes in and out through your nose. Notice if there's any tastes in your mouth. If not, just notice the tension that's held in your tongue, if any. Can you really let your tongue become heavy and kind of rest back in your mouth? Maybe even have a deep swallow to kind of relax all of the neck muscles. Loosen your jaw, maybe even separate your jaw, your top and bottom teeth a little bit, just to allow some looseness there. And just for the next minute or so, just notice your breath now. Just feel the sensations as closely as you can as you inhale. If you'd like to inhale through your nose and exhale through your nose, you don't really have to change your breath. Just bringing your awareness to your breath. And as thoughts start to wander in, maybe you'll start to think about what you need to do for the rest of the night or tomorrow. Any kind of thoughts that arise, just see if you can non-judgmentally just kind of let them kind of float away, and then bring your awareness back to your breath. And then if you can, just sit up a little straighter. Follow each inhale and exhale completely. And we'll just take 3 inhales together just to close our mindfulness right now. So take 1 deep inhale just to clear the slate, and exhale deeply. Another breath in. I often like to say, let's take a deep breath in for each other here in the space. And then a 3rd breath in for ourselves and the work that you're doing or the fun that you're having tonight. And then when you're ready, maybe just wiggle your shoulders again. Just bring your awareness back to your body. Maybe roll your wrists a little bit, wiggle your fingers, and just kind of bring your body back to the space here if you haven't fallen asleep. But we'll have more of that at the end, I promise. So these kind of mindfulness practices is really just this effort to pay attention to what's happening right now without thinking about what happened in the past or worrying about what could happen in the future. And the motivation is to really understand the quality of our thoughts and the quality of our mind for this in service of self-understanding and wisdom. So before we start looking at some artwork then, I do have this handmade book to show you and to make with you. The next slide too, let's see. We have an illustration, and I think Stacy, you put the link in the chat, right? Awesome. So this is a one sheet of paper book, and I'm going to see. I'm going to just move my keyboard. Okay. So I'm going to move this out of the way. Sorry, folks. Okay. So what we'll do with our sheet of paper then is, as you can see on the screen, that we have the diagram of how it's made, and then I'll walk you through it also. And then there's the link as well. So I'm holding it horizontally, horizontally or landscape. Hamburger, I think the little kids call it, hamburger style. And we're going to actually fold it, just fold it in half. And to make any book, I find it's really worthwhile to kind of fold it back and forth a few times. So I'm just unfolding it and folding it back on that same crease. I find that it's helpful to really have sharp creases when you're doing bookmaking. It saves some struggle later in the process. So, there. Okay, so I have it folded in half, and then I'm going to start with the right side on in my case, and I'm going to fold that part to the middle crease. See that? And then I'm going to fold the left side in. So both of those ends are now in the middle. And just like I did before, I like to just make sure those creases are super sharp, and I just, unfold it again, just to make sure it's, well, you have a good, nice, flexible crease there. Okay, so you can see if I push the middle up, when I hold it like this, it kind of looks like, if you look on the screen too, it says your mini zine should now be in the shape of a W. So it's kind of an accordion fold. So still holding it the landscape style, Then I'm going to fold it in half again. And again, I'm going to just fold it backwards on itself so I have that nice sharp crease. So your paper should have 8 little rectangles in it. Okay, so now we're going to make that paper do that W again, right? This is, so, and now it's just all folded up together. Now here's the little tricky part. So I'm going to hold it almost like a paper airplane. So I have the 2 ends kind of flopping out. And this part right here, I'm going to take my scissors. And this is the part that's folded, right? And I'm going to cut from that folded edge up until that first fold. See that? So I didn't cut it all the way through. And here's where the magic happens. Okay, so I'll show you this carefully because I've worked with adults. You know, when I have 3rd graders, they whiz right through this. When I have 40-year-olds, it takes me like 45 minutes. I'm 49, so I can make fun of 49-year-olds and middle-aged people. So anyway, you see how it's cut there. So I'm going to take those pieces and I'm going to fold them over themselves. Do you see that? And it should look like something like this. And then these pieces on the top, you just squish them down. So it looks like this, you know, star shape almost. All you do, it doesn't matter where you start pushing them together, but you're just going to push your pieces together. And you have a little book with pages in it. And I have, through the magic of having kids that you can tell what to do, I made this little sample. And I love ribbons to hold books together. So you can use ribbon. Then this is one of the works of art that we're going to look at today. And Stacy will put a handout in the chat at some point. And you can print out these images. This is another image. And you can glue that into your little journal. So I hope that was okay, because it's weird, right? On Zoom, you're not here with me, so I can't help all the adults in the room. I hope that was okay. If not, definitely check out that link. So I'm going to give you some prompts then to do to kind of fill your little book. By the way, this evening's program, it's based on 2 of my most favorite books. One is called Slow Looking by Peter Clothier, and the other is called The Art Gallery Handbook, a resource for teachers. And that's published by the Tate Museum in London. And I use that book all the time. So this program is really inspired by these 2 books. And the works of art that you'll see here are based on this exhibition, like we mentioned, in the Well exhibition at Lehigh. So here's the first little activity that I have for you all. And it's just a suggestion, right? You're always welcome to kind of take these ideas and run with them and change them. But this is actually a photograph in the collection in this exhibition, but I'm not going to say too much about it, because what I'd like us to do, if you'll play along with me, is I'm going to set a timer, And I just want you to look at this piece, kind of like what we were doing earlier with the mindfulness practices. Just look at the piece. You don't have to write anything down. You don't have to memorize anything. Just look at it. And I'm going to set my timer here for a minute, because sometimes a minute is either endless or, you know, it seems to go really fast or slow. But I'm going to time you all for a minute. Just look for 1 minute and sort of take in this piece. And again, I encourage you just to not to try to resist anything else, you know, even you know, things like checking your phone, things like that, but also, you know, not trying to judge it or figure it out, but rather just notice the formal elements, like the formal qualities, the textures, the shapes that you see, without judgment. Okay, that was about a minute. Now I'm going to invite you, if you want to play along, to close your eyes again for a minute and see if you can recall what you saw here. So again, I invite you just for 1 minute, if you want to close your eyes and just see if, we'll see what comes to mind. What do you remember about your observations? Okay, and that was a minute. Now I'd like you to open your eyes again and compare what was in your mind's eye again to what you're seeing on the screen. And you can use your little journal if you want to write a few notes about that, that experience, or yeah. Now we're going to do something else with this piece. Again, well, just look for a minute. And I do want to just, for those of you who are interested, I have a detail here of the quality of this photograph. It's a Cibachrome, which is, from what I understand about the process, which is it's a discontinued process where the picture is printed on a transparency, and the colors are already in that transparency. And when it's developed, the colors that are not needed are developed away. So it gives really rich detail and color. I hope I've explained that correctly. Cibachrome though. But just let's take a minute then and just again, what's your first response? We'll look again just for 1 minute, taking in the shapes and colors, the textures. Maybe you're seeing things that you didn't see in the first minute. And now what I'd like you to do is I'm going to advance the slides to this blank screen so we can't look at it. And I'd like you to either draw or draw the image, or draw note or write notes, you know, if you're more of a text person. What do you remember? How would you describe that piece? And then now I'll advance again. Let me look at it again. This time I'll just do about 30 seconds. And what I'd like you to do now, again, is observe again. But when we go back to our journal, what I'm going to ask you to do is pick a pen in a different color or a different colored pencil if you have, and write the notes this second time around in a different color. Or if you drew the image, draw your second go in a different color. So we're just going to look at it again once more. Again, just like when we did the mindfulness practices, does your mind wander? Can you keep kind of ushering gently your thoughts and your awareness back to the image? Okay, and then again, I'll put it on that blank screen. See if you can now recall something else or something more fully, but put those notes in a different color. And we'll do that for about 30 seconds or so. So I'm wondering if anyone wants to share, and you can either put it in the chat or if you just want to unmute yourself. Did you notice that second time around, did you notice something a little bit different, that your observations were a little different that second time around? Or how might they have changed as we progressed through those different stages? Anybody want to share?
I'll say something.
Awesome.
So the first time I saw it more as a whole, and what I wrote down was like the whole image, like what I saw it as. And then the second time I wrote down more abstract details, colors, and I was more, trying to theorize what it was. And
awesome. That's great. So the first time around, it was more broadly looking at it overall, and then it became more detailed. Would that be a good summary?
For me, yes.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's really interesting when we, kind of go back to images, and recall and just add layers of what we see. I put the information about this piece here on the slide. And, I hadn't really thought much of the connection between what we're going through with the pandemic and the actual imagery. The artist Maria Martinez Cañas, she was really interested in viruses and bacteria after a friend passed away. So she digitally manipulated viruses and bacteria on a cellular level and created a whole series of these prints. So I want to make sure we have time for at least one more here. So these are a little quicker, these other images that I have for you in the activities. So this one, I won't give you the descriptive information about it yet, but in your journal, again, if you'd like, using all of your mindfulness practices that we used earlier, imagine that you are able to kind of teleport into this room with these little girls and do some just really free writing, creative writing, and maybe imagine yourself in this space using your senses. So for instance, if you were in this room here, in this space, describe where you are exactly. Where is this? What are you about to do with this group of adorable little nuggets? What is about to happen? How do we know that something is about to happen? What does the temperature of the room feel like? What are some sounds going on? Both sounds nearby where we're standing, but are there sounds that are also, in other parts of the building or other parts of this space here? So just take a couple of minutes and just, a minute, let's say a minute, and write a couple of reflections about, or a short story even in a minute. Again, using these mindfulness skills, which are really based in sensory perceptions. So what are we seeing, hearing? Can we taste something? Is there a taste? Textures, even the quality of the air. All of these things, the sounds. And just for time's sake, I won't, I feel terrible because I'm all about talking to my students. But we'll move on. But if you want to share and put stuff in the chat and share with each other what your thoughts were on that, I'll show you the descriptive information about this piece. Peter Turnley is a photojournalist. And this was taken in Cuba. He has a lot of images from daily life in Cuba. And I think I also have a detail of it too. Okay, here's another prompt that I'm inviting you to do. Again, using all of your, mindful kind of abilities. Just again, looking at these images, what I'd like you to do is an activity called Liberating Drawing. which really means thinking about different ways that we can draw. So for instance, you might want to draw one of these figures using your non-dominant hand. So that's one option. Another option is to take, I write with my right hand. So my left hand, then I'm just going to look at one of these images. So, and I have some details here. Just looking at one of these images, just use your non-dominant hand and just trace around the figure as if I'm kind of mimicking those lines and shapes on the screen. And with the right hand, I'm going to draw without looking at my paper. Just drawing, again, kind of like using your physical body a bit in the activity. So kind of taking your non-dominant hand, tracing it around, using your dominant hand to then draw it, kind of taking information from how you're moving your one hand and then drawing with the other. So let me go back to the screen with all four here, and you can choose one. And again, we'll just do it for like a minute, and then I'll show you my last little prompt. Of course, now you have your journal, you can go back and you can add to these activities. Again, or just simply try drawing with your non-dominant hand. Not looking at the paper creates this other really interesting kind of challenge for your mind. Okay, and the last prompt that I have for you today, and I should mention, I'm sorry, but this is by Keith Haring. If you probably recognize him, one of his screen prints here. So here's another photograph that I just love. And the prompt that I'd like you to do for this one is called Truthful Words. So this is kind of a quick little writing exercise, but pick one or more of these characters in this scene here. And I have close-ups. And just imagine that you can tell what they're thinking. And tell us what they're thinking, and then tell us what they're actually saying. And if those two things are different. You can even pick that little boy too, or the adults there. What are they saying versus what are they thinking? And maybe they're the same, but maybe they're quite different. And we'll just take 30 seconds to do that. Awesome. So this photograph was taken by Jacques Lowe that you can see here. And he was actually one of the photographers for the Kennedy family during Kennedy's presidency, and did this really wonderful photograph here. So it's really interesting to think about what they might be saying out loud versus what they might be thinking. Anybody, can we have one volunteer? Anybody want to share maybe what they're thinking versus what they're saying?
We have a couple in the chat.
I'm sorry?
There's a couple in the chat. Mary said, the lady thinks he's just like Tom was at that age. And the lady says, very nice, Tommy.
Awesome. That's great.
Anne said, the grandfather thinks, look at him bursting with joy at his discoveries.
Absolutely. Awesome. So I think then in some ways, maybe this question is still not fully answered, but I hope tonight, we'll do another minute or two of mindfulness here as we wrap up. But I hope that you've seen in a small way that looking at works of art really, and looking at anything, but works of art are so rich and have so much dimension to them. There's really an opportunity for us to remind ourselves to practice just slowing down and noticing what is versus what we're worried about from the past or worried about for the future. So I hope this has given you a little bit of, some idea about how mindfulness in looking at art can also influence your daily life. So if you want to join me, we just have like a few minutes left, but I did want to share another mindfulness practice with you as we end tonight. So if you'd like, again, I know it's a little abrupt, but take a comfortable seat again. Again, you're more than welcome. I encourage people to lay down and be in a recliner if you need to. And just, again, allow your eyes to close if that feels comfortable to you, or just a soft gaze with your eyes open is appropriate as well. Maybe take some deep breaths. And just to kind of settle our mind and body this evening, we'll do a brief body scan. Hopefully this will even kind of help you this evening as we all probably get ready for bed soon, at least I do. But just bring your awareness to your feet. If your feet are planted on the floor, or maybe your legs are cross-legged, just notice your feet and see if you can just allow your toes, the soles of your feet, to really relax. And your legs, bring your awareness up through to your knees, your thighs, your hips. Just allow everything to really get heavy and just melt. Relax your lower belly, your heart space, your shoulders. See if you can just allow all of the muscles and tension to just melt off of your shoulders, off of your back. Let your arms hang heavy. Release any tension in your fingers. Soften the base of your neck and the back of your neck. Even your ears. Can you release some tension around your ears? Again, inside your mouth and eyes. Just allow everything to really sink deeply into your seat. And just on your own, just do a scan of your whole body, maybe seeing where there might be still some tension. See if you can let go of that tension. And if not, maybe just bringing awareness there and not trying to change anything. see if that kind of opens up any space. And again, to close, we'll just, if you'd like to sit up a little straighter, and again, we'll do those 3 breaths. Inhale deeply just to clear, and exhaling deeply. And then inhaling deeply for each other. And exhaling deeply. And then the last inhaling deeply for ourselves and thanking yourself for taking this hour out of your day. And thank you so much. I think there's just another slide here just to share with you. There's my email if you would like to get in touch with me. Also, I just wanted to let you know too of some upcoming events with Lehigh University Art Galleries. I'll be leading these 2, but there's other activities on their website as well. So I'm happy to hang out if people have questions or want to chat. I realize it's 8 o'clock now, so I want to be respectful of everybody's time. But thank you so much again for coming tonight and practicing with me.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Stacy.
We needed this. I think I speak for everyone to say this was a wonderful, wonderful event. Thank you. And I will follow up with an email with everyone who is here this evening with the incredible list of resources that Dr. Baxter put together, as well as the prompts and the images. So if you'd like to go back and revisit them, you have those as well.
That's great. Thank you again.